Okay, in this video, I'm going to give you the steps you need to set up ProPresenter for Sunday morning. All right, and so of course, the first thing you want to do is open up ProPresenter. It's going to open up and look something like this. And then to set up, the very first thing you do is up here in the top in the library section, there's a little plus button kind of hiding there. And you're going to choose Planting Center Service. So we click on the plus, and then we choose Planting Center Service. It's going to open up this window here. This window is all the various orders of service that are located within Planting Center. Lots of different categories. Don't really use any of them, or most of them, except for this one here that says Sunday morning. So you just open it up, and then you find the one for that Sunday. And so this particular Sunday will be July the 30th. So you just click on that, you choose select. That is going to populate for you a bunch of essentially empty buckets for the service, for each element of the service, the announcements, the countdown video, the welcome, like each song, sermon, everything. It's going to give you a bunch of empty buckets for that. What you want to start doing is filling in these empty buckets with the presentation that you need. So on your keyboard, you can hit Command F, and that will pull up the library that you can search in. And another way is you can hit this little search bar, and it is going to automatically search for that in your library. And so you see it's pulled up here, and you're just going to click it and drag it, drop it right there, and then just go down the list. Countdown video, you see what I did there? So you go here, you click this little search bar, it's going to automatically search for you. Welcome and opening, so welcome and opening prayer, that matches. You notice on this one, there's also one that says welcome. That's not one we use. We use the one that says welcome and opening prayer. You click and you drag it right on over. Scroll down, click your search bar, Glorious Day, there it is. And so right now we're not worrying about what any of the slides look like, or what any of the songs say. We're not worrying about anything, about each of these elements. Right now, all that we are focused on is filling in this. And so you just go line by line, click the search. It's going to give you, the name will always match from what it says here to the presentation that you're putting over. Scroll down. The one you skip is sermon. Okay, so we're not going to put anything at this time in the sermon section. All right, so you're clicking this search icon. It automatically searches for those words for you. It finds it in the library. You click and drag it over, and you drop it in the appropriate section. All right, so, and again, you hit the little search bar here. It's going to automatically search your library for that presentation. We find it here. You click and you drag it over. But what happens if in your rush or whatever, you misclick and you drop it in the wrong section, and now it says benediction here and it says benediction there. You have no idea what it used to say, and you just, so what do? How do you fix it? If we go up to close out your library here and go up to edit, so it looks like I had to click on the one I did down here first, okay? And then you go up to edit, and you do undo create link. It's going to clear out what you just did, and you start over. You just go back, click to search, you find benediction, you drop it in the right bucket. You go to search, announcements end, and you drop that. And so now what we have here is everything is filled. All the empty buckets are filled with the presentations we need, except for the sermon, but that's okay. We'll get that later. Then you'll notice here it's got a flag icon rather than this icon here. And so the next step after you fill all the buckets is you want to correct that. And so you're going to right-click on the flag. So you just right-click on the flag and choose Convert to Standard Playlist. And you'll see that it changed that to just a regular old playlist. Each of these is filled except for Sermon, and we can actually go ahead and right-click on Sermon and delete it. Okay? Now what we need to do is import the sermon. To do that, you open up Safari. You type in Planning Center. If you just start typing in, you'll see it auto-populates here. And then when you see it kind of filled in, just hit Enter. It's going to pull up Planning Center, log in. The login information is saved for you, so you don't have to worry about that. And then over here in the top left of Safari, click where it says Home. Go down the list, click on Services, and then up in the top, there's several options. The one we're looking for is Media. Media is where things can be uploaded and downloaded into Planning Center so they can be retrieved from any computer. And then so what you'll want to do is find the media, find the file that is associated with that week's sermon, which is right here, the Power of Prayer Part 5. You click on it and you click Download. And that is going to put that into your Downloads folder down here. All right, close it out Safari so you don't need to have Planning Center up anymore. But now what you do is you open up that Downloads folder and you just click the one that you most recently downloaded. It's going to ask you, where do you want to import this into? Where do you want to save it? Which library? Make sure it says Sermons. It's going to default to the last one selected. So if we import something for Lighthouse School, it will look like that. Or if the other church is meeting and they do it, it's going to look like that. So just make sure it says Sermons because you want that to go to the sermon folder. And then you click OK. Now it's going to pop up with this window here. And it will almost always pop up with this when you're uploading the sermon. What you want to do is click Apply to All and then Write Over. And what that's doing, it's replacing any old media from the last series or the last sermon, and it's writing it over with the new media. And so you just do that, and it is going to import that into... All right. So as you see here, it is, after you import it, it automatically opens up your sermon library and it shows it in there. And so what you're going to do is you're going to click and drag that into the playlist that you're looking at. Actually, it already had one in there. So it's going to import it to the end of your playlist, and that's not the correct location, so you want to click and drag it right under the bumper video. Okay, so now everything is loaded up into a ProPresenter. All your slides are there. Now it's just a matter of making sure everything is correct. And so you just start at the top, start at the announcements, and make sure it's all correct. So the thing that you'll need to do for the announcement slides is up here in the top, there's this little circle, looks like a target. Click on that, and you choose announcements. And that's going to let ProPresenter know that we want these to automatically rotate every 9 seconds. Okay, so you just click that, choose announcements. And then one of the other things you want to check on the announcements is that the first slide has this little M macro, which it does, and you hover over it and it says pre-service. So that means the pre-service macro here has been applied to this first slide, and that's exactly what we want. That tells it how we want these slides to behave. And you scroll down, the next one's going to be the countdown video. And the only thing you need to verify, well, you'll want to do a couple things. One, you'll notice it has this triangle. You want to find out what it's there and if it's an issue that needs resolved. In this particular case, it's saying that the text box for these numbers is not big enough. That's something that if you click on it, you'll see everything fits in. And so that's just a weird glitch within ProPresenter. You can disregard that triangle. But if you ever see a slide with that, orange caution triangle, you want to find out just by hovering over it why it's indicating that and what needs to be fixed. And the other thing you want to verify is that the correct macro is on it. And so you just hover over that. It says countdown. That's perfect. Keep scrolling down. Welcome. You're going to just verify that this macro is correct. It says welcome, so that's good. And now we get into the songs, okay? So you'll see here, it kind of looks goofy, like this background one is down here, and it's all just a weird arrangement. And so what you need to do is click on this little icon. It's the arrangements button right here. And that's going to open up your arrangements menu. And you click on where it says master, and you just change it to standard. And that is going to put everything in the correct order. And then once that's done, you can close that out. And then what you're going to want to check is that this macro is correct. So it's going to have whatever macro that was last saved when we did this particular song. And so if you hover over it, it's going to say song 1, which means the last time that this song was done, it was done as the first song. And which happens to be, it's the first song currently, and so that needs no change. All right, and then you just scroll down. You can either scroll down to the next song, or you can click over here to the next song, and you're going to do the same thing. You want to click on the arrangements button, click here, go to standard. You can close the arrangements, and then you're going to verify, make sure the macro is correct. It's very important that the correct one, because the macros control a lot of different elements. So you just hover over it, and it says song 3. Now, if we look over here, it's song 2. And so we have to correct that, because this is song 2, and it's got the song 3 macro. And so to correct that, you just right-click on the first slide, and you go down to remove actions, and then you remove the macro song 3. And you click that, you'll see it's disappeared. And then we need to replace that with the correct one, which would be the song 2 macro. And so you go over here to the right-hand side, click on the macros if it's not already selected. If it looks different over here, you just click macros. It's going to go there. Find the one that says song 2. You do not want the one that says LHS song 2, because that's Lighthouse School. This is for Sunday morning. So song 2 here, and you're just going to click and drag it here, and it's going to drop that in the right place. Okay. And now just keep scrolling on down to the next song. You're going to do the same thing. Master, go to standard, and then you want to verify that this is correct. Hover over it, song 3, it is song 3, so we're good. Okay, and you just keep going down to the pastoral prayer. You want to verify that this is correct, so you hover over it, it says prayer, so that's correct. The next one is the bumper video. Hover over it, it says bumper. Bumper video, another thing you want to check is that it is set to stop when the video is done playing. So there's 2 settings in ProPresenter for videos. One is loop, one is stop. If it's on loop, the video is going to keep looping back and replaying over and over again. If it's on stop, once the video plays once, it's going to stop. Most of the time it is set correct, but to double check it, you right click on the slide, go down to inspector. It's going to pop up your inspector window here. And then you're going to click on this first little tool here. It's the properties, and playback is stop. And so that is correct. If it said playback loop, that would be incorrect. So playback stop is good. The next thing down is the sermon. For right now, we're going to skip the sermon setup, and we are going to go to the next song. And so go to this, and you just want to, again, do the same thing. Click the arrangements, click master, click standard. Okay. And then verify it's song 4, and it's song 4 here, so that's good. So you notice here we have this little caution. It says invalid stage layout action. So there's something wrong with the stage layout. The best way to fix that, if you see that currently, is simply just to remove the stage layout, because all of that information is now in the macro, which means that all of these icons here, the stage layout icon, the looks icon, it are irrelevant, and they can be removed, especially removed if it's saying that there's a problem. And so you right-click on it, and it's helpful because it tells you, hey, this is where the problems are. Just go to remove and remove the one that's the problem, and then that's all set. You go down to the benediction, verify that this macro is correct. It says benediction, so that's good. And then you go to the end announcements and you verify that that's correct, and it says exit, and that's good. All right, so all of the songs are set up. We can tell that because they each say the word standard next to them. All the macros were verified. The only thing we have to do is make sure the sermon is correct. So you just click on to the sermon here. This is the Power of Prayer, Part 5. And the sermon, the first slides will be some of the media that is used in the series. It's duplicated. We don't need it there. The main reason it's there is just as a backup. So in case something went wrong, we lost a file, this is a backup. It's imported with every sermon. The other possibility could be that sometimes the bumper video will change throughout the same series. So there's some series that will have more than one bumper video rather than the same one week after week. And so you would just want to verify to make sure that the bumper video that is provided in the sermon is the same as the bumper video that is already loaded here. If for some reason it's not the same, and it's a new bumper video, you click it and you drag it up there, and it will resolve that. But right now they do match, and so what we're going to do is we are going to select the background slide. So you click on that, hold Command on the computer, click the counter slide, hold Command, click the logo, click the bumper, right-click on it, and choose Delete. And that is going to put the very first slide as the logo slide, which is what you want, because the bumper video plays, and 99% of the time, the last thing on the bumper video is the logo. And so it's going to be a good transition from the bumper to the sermon. Now it's time to make sure all the sermon slides are set up correctly. Okay? And so for some reason, this one looks like it's grayed out. Somehow it got disabled. So we just want to right click on it and choose enable, and you can see it gets brighter. And then you just go slide by slide to make sure everything looks correct. And so what you're checking for is, one, how is it going to look on the big screen? Very often while I'm setting this up, I will turn on the projectors to look at it in the house, in room, to see what it looks like. So what is it going to look like on the big screen? That looks good. What is it going to look like as it's displayed on the bottom of the screen for people watching online? And you can more or less see it. The resolution's not great, so it's kind of blurry, but you can see, yeah, that looks good. And then what does it see for, what does it look like for Pastor AJ? That's what this courtesy one is here. And that's what he sees on the screens in the back of the room. And so everything looks good on that. And so you click to the next slide. The next slide, it's got the search me ... God. That's how Pastor gave it to us. We can take editing liberties sometimes and adjust if we think it might look better, different. And so what I'm going to do with this slide and the following slides is I'm going to right click on it. I'm going to choose quick edit. And then you just go in here and you delete the slides, or delete the dots, and then you hit the X here. Another option is if you click up here to reflow, it's going to give you all of the slides there. And so you can just save a little bit of time by doing that. So you took all the dots on those 3 slides. Once you want to go back to normal view, you just click show. And then so you just keep clicking through, verifying that it looks good in-house, looks good here, looks good there. The next one is a picture. It's got the bars on the side. So you have a choice on how to handle this. You can keep it as is, which would be fine. It would look fine in-house that way. If you wanted to fill the whole screen, all the space, Then you just want to go to, right click on it, go down to Inspector, go to Properties, and then play with the scaling. And so right now it's scaled to fit. So the whole picture is going to fit in the screen, and it's going to give you the black bars to make it all fit. If you do scale to fill, it is going to fill the entire screen, but it's not necessarily going to give you the whole picture. So you see some of the top of the picture here is cut off, or the bottom of the picture here is cut off and zoomed in a little bit to fill up the entire screen. Or stretch to fill, which I never recommend, because most of the time it stretches a picture out and it makes it look all goofy and distorted. So I like scale to fill, and so I'm going to use that one and then close it out. This picture looks good. The next one is a Bible verse. The important thing to look for in the Bible passages is that the last word here, which is listening, matches the last word here, which is also listening. If for some reason there was extra words and it was cut off, you would need to adjust that. And the best way to adjust that is simply to right-click on the slide, go to Edit Actions. The thing we want to edit is the audience look, because it's something that the audience sees. And rather than sermon, you do sermon more, and sermon more will squeeze in just a little bit of extra into the slide or what the audience sees here. If it squeezes it too much and it makes the writing really small and not readable for the people at home, you'd then at that point consider breaking it up into multiple slides. But this one, the words fit, listening, it matches, so we're good. We go to Speak to Me, God. We see that the dots, I don't really like those, so we're going to fix it. And then we go back to Show. And again, you have the bars, and so you're going to go to the inspector, see if there's a better way to make this picture look. And so you click on Properties here, Scaling. Right now it's Scale to Fit. So let's see what Scale to Fill looks like. Scale to Fill doesn't work because it cuts off the top of his head, and so we don't want that. And then we do Stretch to Fill to see what that looks like, and that doesn't work because it stretches his face. So the best look here would be Scale to Fit. And you just keep going down the line, make sure everything is looking correctly. So this is a video, and so the important thing to check on videos is to make sure it's going to stop when it's done. And so you right click on the slide, you go to Inspector, click on Properties, and you check Playback is Stop. Okay, that's good. And you just go through each one, making sure everything is correct. All right, so you see there, I deleted the dots, and now you got kind of a strange, it doesn't look very symmetrical. It doesn't look quite right. And so rather than going to Quick Edit, what we want to do is up at the top, click where it says Edit. And then you just click on this. That's going to highlight the text box. And you just want to resize that to a place that looks good. See, that's not great. So, right, that looks good as far as symmetry goes, and then you just need to recenter it. And then you click Show to get back out here. And you just keep going through everything. Reflow is a really handy tool. Click Show to go back, and looks like everything is set. This picture here, it's a little bit faded, might be hard to see, and so one of the things you can do with ProPresenter is some minor like picture and video adjustments. So anything you can do with the picture, you can also do with the with video. And so to do that, you just right click on it, go to Inspector, and then you're going to choose this one here, and they call it effects. Okay, and then click on the plus. There's all of these different effects you can add to that picture. Like I could turn it sepia if I want. I could make it shake for whatever reason. I have no idea why anybody would want to do that. You could blur it out, which sometimes, sometimes is a useful thing to do on slides. If the text is hard to read, you can make the picture a little bit blurry to make the text more clear. On this one, we're just simply going to adjust the color. We're going to keep the hue the same. Hue changes that. We definitely don't want, green people. We can make the saturation, add more color, but we don't want to go too heavy on that. We might just add a little bit. Going to take down the brightness a tad and take up the contrast just a tad. And that will make the picture a little bit better and easier to see for the congregation. And then once you're done making those adjustments, you can click here. All right, and so now we have imported the Planning Center service. We filled up all the empty buckets. We converted it to our standard playlist. We went through all the songs to make sure they're in standard mode, make sure they have the right macros. And then we went through the sermon to make sure all the slides are going to look correct for the people in the room as well as the people at home. And the very last thing we want to do is this announcement slide for the end of service. We want to assign that also as announcements. So by clicking this little circle and choosing announcements. And so you'll know you're done by seeing green circle there, the word standard throughout, and then of course knowing that you took the time to correct and to adjust any of the sermon slides that you needed to.